Super Plus.
Greetings and welcome to the Hills of Steel 1 Tank Breakdown series. I'm Andrew, and as always we're back with another video in the series. This time we're taking a look at Atlas. Although it looks different from a traditional tank, it is a fairly straightforward one to play. As always, it has a multitude of skins to choose between. We're going to go with this great stealth looking one. Comes with all the standard boosters and can be leveled up with cards to improve its stats. Upon looking at its stats, you'll notice that it has some good armor, good gun, but very low engine, and this is going to be something that will hold it back just a little bit. But let's check out some gameplay to see Atlas in action. So Atlas moves on two walking legs, and because it has a low engine, you'll notice that it is quite slow in moving backwards and forwards. However, because it is a little bit slow on the two legs, it is quite stable however. The attack is a 6 missile launch. You can tap the button to fire off one missile at a time, or if you hold on the button, fire all 6 missiles at one time. This can do a tremendous amount of damage. Whenever you attack with Atlas, you'll notice that the missiles go in a straight line, so if you're facing downwards in hill, straight into the hill, and if you're facing upwards, straight up into the air. However, this changes when you have enemies in sight, as the missiles will lock on to the first target and do an incredible amount of damage. This means that you can fire off all the missiles to take down single tanks in one go, or you can just tap at them to do damage across multiple ones. The reload speed is a little bit on the slow side, so you need to be careful that you don't fire them all off and take out the first tank, and then leave yourself exposed to the oncoming tanks. This makes Atlas a fairly straightforward tank to play. Makes it easy because the missiles do lock on, so that you don't have to aim them, and you can also use this to your advantage. The distance between fighting with the missiles is quite large, so as long as you have a tank in sight, you will be able to take them down with ease, including bosses. We go up against Legion here, and we can just walk right in, fire off all our missiles, but you'll notice that because the reload time is quite slow, we still take 1 or 2 hits before we manage to get the reload for the kill. One thing to note however that does hold Atlas back a little bit is that although the missiles can lock on to enemy targets, you cannot stand behind a hill in order to fire up and over, because the missiles will just go into the ground. In order for them to lock on, you must always have the tank in the line of sight. Even if they're not appearing on the screen, as long as they're not hidden behind a hill, the missiles will lock on and do the damage. By leveling up Atlas, it'll just make it even more stronger in terms of how much damage you can take. So you can just waltz right in, do a lot of damage, and continue on. Obviously, because you're slow, you're going to take damage from some different tank types. For example, this missile one here is able to get a lot of damage onto us because we're just unable to escape quick enough from its range. This means that you need to be careful in what you're going up against and not take a lot of damage with Atlas. So although it is slow, we did state that its stability is very good. You're never at risk of falling over while going up and down hills, so that is one less thing to worry about that some other tanks do have. You're able to just walk forward, fire off your missiles, and then continue on. As noted, the only thing to be careful of is getting caught in the range of missiles and other various tanks that can do damage from range. This is also something that can be a little bit of an issue if you play 2v2 PvP. Because all the other tanks move so quickly, by the time you get there to support your teammate, they might already be dead in a 1v2 situation because of how slow Atlas is at moving. Of course, in 1v1, that doesn't matter, but just something to take into consideration. As noted, one of the other issues of Atlas is that when you fire off all your missiles at once and have the slower reload speed, when going up against multiple enemies and take down just one or two, you still leave yourself exposed to a number of others. So be careful when you're fighting against a group of enemies at once. In most cases, bosses tend to not be too much of an issue, as you can see as we go up against the next one here. Armadillo is making his way in off screen, but because our missiles are able to lock on, we find ourselves at a good hill, fire them off, and we're able to take him down before he even gets close. Let's take a look now at Mars, a level where there are a lot of air units. Not only is Atlas great against land units, he's great against air units as well. However, there is one thing to take into consideration. You'll notice as we fire our missiles that they curve upwards trying to hit the target. But if you're not within the right range, they end up turning upwards far too late and don't hit the target at all. So you need to ensure that when you're ready to take on an air unit, that you're firing quick enough so that the missiles can actually lock on, turn up, and do the damage. If you don't, it ends up that they miss, like so, and then the air unit is able to chase you down a little bit. Obviously, using the hills to aim a little bit more upwards will help with this. So, overall, Atlas, great stability, great armor, and does a lot of damage. It makes it a great, fun, easy tank to play. The only things to take into consideration is that you need to be careful when taking on big groups of mobs. You need to be careful when firing all your missiles at once to not leave yourself exposed. And of course, when fighting air units, firing quick enough so that they actually get time to turn up. These downsides are not difficult, so once you perfect them, you will be able to do a lot of work with Atlas. Compared to a lot of other tanks, this lies more towards the beginner friendly side, so if you've been playing with one of the standard ones like Joker or Cobra but want to try something different out, Atlas might be the one for you. This concludes our tank breakdown for Atlas. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow our social medias to keep up to date with all the content that we're doing. We also have a new Discord for Hills of Steel 1 players, so make sure to check that out as well. Until the next time, have fun, and see you on the hills.